Meghan Markle is trying to kid the world that all is fine.
But by far the most sickening part of this show for me was the constant use of Harry's late mother, Princess Diana, to stoke sympathy for Meghan.
They won't let me call myself Her Royal Highness anymore. It's nowhere near Diana's level of sophistication when it comes to the media.
I just think she's crying for sympathy, playing the victim when there's nothing to be a victim about, and there's also no sympathy to be granted for this lifestyle that she's chosen to live.
She can try and dress up in Diana clothes as much as she wants. We see through it all.
But they can't make money off the royal family.
These two are obsessed with Diana's legacy.
She married for money. It's very clear she bagged the elephant. She was thrilled she became a, quote, princess.
Having known both women, Princess Diana and Meghan Markle, I can say with absolute certainty they had nothing in common whatsoever. I couldn't think of two women more different.
Truly, I want to like something about her. I'm searching for something to like about her, and it's so hard.
I thought you've been telling your truth, which is often a pack of lies, from the moment you abandoned this country.
You know, I mean, she used to be on Deal or No
infiltrated?
Deal. Look, she was on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the wife convinces you to leave the royal family. Like, I'm out. I don't need you guys. Which is crazy, because don't you just get free money?
Could there be a more grotesque exploitation or a more hypocritical one than him using his dead mother's imagery to engender sympathy for himself again as the great victim in this world?
She decided she didn't want to be a real princess because to be a real princess involves duty and responsibility, caring about other people. And so she just wanted to be a pretend princess in Hollywood, so she split her husband off from his royal family and then inked a $1 zillion deal with a bunch of media companies, and then all her projects flopped.
I knew her a bit before she met Harry. She was nothing like that. She didn't speak like that. Her mannerisms weren't like that. This is all fake.
It's the story that's sending shockwaves through palace circles and beyond. Insiders are now claiming that Meghan Markle isn't just using Diana's memory to honor the late princess, she's allegedly turning it into a luxury brand all her own.
When it comes to compassion and empathy, where's Meghan's been for her own father? She completely disowned him, as she did all her wedding, actually, before the wedding.
From Diana's jewelry to whispered tales of name changes and carefully curated Netflix scenes, the rumors say Meghan's obsession with her late mother-in-law's iconic legacy isn't about love, it's about leverage. And nowhere is this alleged fixation more bizarre or more telling than in the little things she chooses to highlight.
He just suffered a stroke a few months ago. Miss Compassion hasn't even bothered to call her father to ask how he is.
Case in point, that much-ridiculed pineapple tip. It's easy to laugh off a segment where Meghan shows viewers how to cut a pineapple like it's a life-changing discovery. But insiders argue it's more than just tone-deaf content. It's a window into how Meghan's entire approach to public life now echoes Diana's once fresh, now iconic approach to vulnerability and accessibility.
He has to, of course, put this vision of his mother on his wife. And Meghan, unfortunately for her, is nowhere near Diana's level of sophistication when it comes to the media or PR or charisma or warmth or anything.
It's like she's determined to present herself as the modern princess who can be both glamorous and one of us. But behind it all, there's a brand strategy that's allegedly driven by money, one source whispered. The pineapple fiasco, cut from her With Love Meghan show for being too inane even by those standards, is said to be just the tip of the iceberg. Critics argue that Meghan's carefully controlled public image, complete with Diana's signature perfumes, jewelry pieces, and even references to Diana's charity style, feels less like tribute and more like a carefully calculated echo of a woman whose memory has never stopped captivating the public.
Just agree, like, Meghan is no Diana. She can cosplay all she wants. She can try and do the facial expressions all she wants, which she's clearly trying to perfect.
It's not just about Diana's legacy, another insider allegedly claimed. It's about how Meghan can leverage that legacy to keep herself in the headlines and the money rolling in. And that's why so many royal watchers are calling this latest rumor the most shocking yet. If the whispers are true, Meghan and Harry's luxury lifestyle may be propped up not by personal success, but by the ghost of Diana's past. Because in the swirl of Montecito mansions and Hollywood deals, it's the one card Meghan can still play, the memory of the princess the world never stopped loving. If the pineapple saga was a small clue, Insiders say it's part of a much bigger puzzle, Meghan's alleged quest to become Diana 2.0. According to palace sources and royal watchers, Meghan's every move seems to be a carefully orchestrated tribute to the late princess, not just out of admiration, but as a way to absorb some of Diana's enduring magic. It's like she wants to merge her story with Diana's, one former aide reportedly said. The style, the jewelry, even the gestures, it's all there, and it's all deliberate.
When you were just talking about Diana being so authentic, Meghan is just the exact opposite.
Critics say the obsession runs deep, from the jewelry Meghan wears to public events, often pieces once owned by Diana, to the rumors that she's adopted Diana's signature perfume for key meetings. There's a sense that Meghan is trying to wrap herself in the legacy of the woman who remains one of the most beloved figures in royal history. Even the way Meghan poses for photos, head tilted, shy smile, a hint of vulnerability, reminds some of Diana's most iconic moments. She's not just inspired by Diana, an insider claimed, she's channeling her. It's the kind of transformation that raises eyebrows. Because while Diana's memory is sacred to many, insiders suggest Meghan's approach is more about marketing than memory. She's turned Diana's vulnerability into a selling point, one source alleged. It's like she's trying to turn her own story into the sequel everyone's been waiting for. And for those who knew Diana best, this rumored strategy isn't just unsettling, it's downright insulting. Diana was about authenticity, one longtime royal watcher said. This feels manufactured. Of course, Meghan's supporters argue that she's simply paying tribute to a woman who paved the way for modern royals. They point to her charity work, her willingness to speak out, her refusal to be defined by tradition. If she sees herself in Diana, can you blame her? One fan account recently posted, but behind closed doors, even Meghan's most loyal allies admit the optics can be jarring. The $14 million mansion, the endless brand deals, the luxury trappings that seem a world away from the people's princess Diana once was.
These two are obsessed with Diana's legacy.
Remember that clip of Meghan once showing us how she could cry like that at the drop of a little tarnished tiara? Remember that? She could do it like that. Just bear that in mind when you watch it. Did you get that one?
So the question hangs in the air. Is Meghan's alleged Diana obsession a genuine homage, or is it the ultimate brand reinvention, turning a personal tragedy into a marketing plan? Because next, we're diving into the most shocking part of this alleged playbook yet. Whispers that Harry himself considered a name change to Spencer, all in the name of milking Diana's memory for every last drop of luxury. Stay tuned. As the rumors swirl around Meghan's alleged quest to channel Diana, insiders say there's another piece of this puzzle that shocked even the most hardened palace staff. Whispers that Harry himself considered dropping the Windsor name entirely, choosing instead to become a Spencer. Yes, you heard that right. According to multiple sources, Harry allegedly floated the idea of taking his mother's family name, a move that would tie him even more closely to Diana's memory and, some say, to Meghan's carefully cultivated image as Diana's spiritual successor. One royal watcher summed up the shock of this revelation. It's not just a name, it's a statement, a way of saying, I'm Diana's son first and foremost, and I'll use that to shape my own legacy. And if you believe the speculation, Meghan was right there beside him, ready to support the shift if it meant adding another layer to the Diana narrative they've so carefully woven. The name change never happened, reportedly because Earl Spencer himself warned Harry about the legal and political fallout. But the fact that it was even considered speaks volumes, insiders say. It shows just how obsessed they are with controlling Diana's legacy, one former palace aide claimed. It's like they've decided that's their brand now. Diana's name, Diana's image, Diana's power. Critics have been quick to frame this as the ultimate betrayal, a rejection of the Windsor name at a time when King Charles is battling cancer and the monarchy itself is under scrutiny.
We now get to this shock revelation that he sought advice from Princess Diana's brother, asking if he should change his family name to Spencer.
It's not just a family matter, one commentator said. It's about who gets to define Diana's story and who profits from it. And of course, there's Meghan's role in this saga. While Harry's motivations might be tied to the loss of his mother, insiders claim Meghan's interest is more strategic. She knows Diana's name sells, one source alleged. And if Harry becomes a Spencer, that's another piece of the Diana puzzle she can use to keep their brand front and center. Yet the rumors of the name change have done more than just raise eyebrows. They've deepened the rift within the royal family, adding another layer of drama to a story that's already stretching the monarchy's patience to the breaking point. Because if Harry really was willing to abandon the name that's defined the House of Windsor for centuries, what else might he and Meghan be willing to sacrifice in the name of luxury? Up next, we're peeling back the next layer of this alleged strategy, how Netflix, podcasts, and even product lines are rumored rumored to be tied to a larger plan to cash in on Diana's legacy. One curated cameo, one brand partnership at a time. Stay with us because this story is only getting more tangled. If there's one thing insiders keep repeating, it's this. Meghan and Harry's brand strategy allegedly has one common thread: Diana's name. From Netflix documentaries to lifestyle podcasts, the late princess's image is said to be the crown jewel in Meghan's carefully curated empire. It's the ultimate calling card, one former palace staffer claimed. Every time Meghan or Harry mentions Diana, the world stops and listens. They know it. Take Netflix, for example. Insiders whisper that even the couple's most trivial productions, like that pineapple how-to fiasco, are ultimately framed by the story of Diana. It's like they're weaving her memory into everything, one source said. Every project has that soft focus glow of Diana's image somewhere in the background. The same goes for Meghan's pivot to fashion and wellness, allegedly laced with subtle nods to Diana's style and spirit, from vintage jewelry choices to a carefully placed photo on a charity website. Critics argue that it's no accident. It's not about nostalgia, it's about narrative, one royal commentator said. They know Diana is an emotional touchstone for millions. If they can wrap their own brand in her memory, it's like a shortcut to global adoration and global dollars. One former palace insider put it more bluntly: Meghan's building a luxury brand, and Diana is the centerpiece. And while that might sound callous, it's the kind of claim that's been whispered in Montecito mansions and royal ballrooms alike. Because if there's one thing that sells faster than a princess story, it's the myth of a princess who never stops being relevant.
And as for the shameful comparisons with Princess Diana, I remember Prince Harry being very, very angry about the media exploiting his mother for commercial gain. Yeah, what has he done with this Netflix series? He's used his mother to sell it.
Supporters of Meghan argue she's simply paying tribute to the woman who paved the way for modern royals, but even they admit there's a fine line between homage and exploitation, especially when Diana's own family, the Spencers, have reportedly pushed back against Meghan's attempts to position herself as the heir to Diana's legacy. And that's what makes this alleged strategy so fraught. It's not just about personal brand building, it's about the complicated politics of a legacy that still shapes the royal family's identity decades later. Diana's memory belongs to Britain, one source said, but to Meghan, it's also a key to her own future, a future she's determined to craft, even if it means using the past as a stepping stone. But this story isn't just about Netflix specials and borrowed jewelry. Up next, we're diving into how insiders say Meghan's entire PR strategy, from carefully chosen podcast guests to luxury product launches, might be built around turning Diana's memory into cold, hard cash. Stay tuned, because the whispers only get wilder from here. As the Netflix specials and polished PR moves swirl around Meghan and Harry's brand, one accusation is being whispered louder than ever: that Diana's memory has allegedly become a cash cow. Insiders say it's no coincidence that nearly every major public move Meghan has made in recent years has contained a nod to Diana, whether it's a piece of jewelry, a poignant photo, or a tearful tribute in an interview. It's like she's turned Diana's legacy into a marketing tool, one former royal aide claimed, and she's milking it for everything it's worth. Critics point to the rumored luxury product launches and wellness lines Meghan has tested, each one dripping with carefully crafted references to her connection to Diana. One former palace insider described it as a strategy that's less about grief and more about greenbacks, a plan to turn the world's fascination with Diana into endless streams of cash and influence. Podcasts and social media posts, insiders say even these are allegedly curated to sprinkle in Diana's name at key moments, an emotional hook that's guaranteed to send headlines spinning and keep Meghan's brand top of mind. She's not just selling lifestyle, one commentator said. She's selling the idea that she's the rightful heir to Diana's mission.
One knows the full truth. We know the full truth.
Oh God, you wouldn't know the truth if it hit you around the back of your head.
And that's a powerful story, one that gets clicks, dollars, and global attention. Of course, Meghan's supporters dismiss these allegations as little more than jealousy, insisting she's simply paying tribute to the woman who blazed the trail she's now following. But even they admit the optics can be unsettling. One friend of Meghan's reportedly said, "She really does admire Diana, but she also knows that Diana's name is the ultimate brand enhancer, and if that can help her, why wouldn't she use it?" For Harry, the question is even more complicated. Some insiders claim his desire to keep his mother's memory alive is sincere, but even they wonder how much of this alleged brand building is his idea and how much is Meghan's. It's hard to separate the two, one source said. But one thing is clear. The more they talk about Diana, the more headlines they get. And behind those headlines, another tension is brewing, because if the rumors are true, not everyone in the royal circle is comfortable with how Diana's memory is being used. Up next, we're turning to the one family that's reportedly pushing back harder than anyone, the Spencers. Stay tuned, because that's where this story takes an even more dramatic turn. Amid all the headlines about Meghan's supposed efforts to tie her brand to Diana's memory, one detail has insiders especially rattled: the rumored pushback from the Spencers themselves. Because while Harry and Meghan might see Diana's legacy as a source of inspiration, or even a revenue stream, the family that actually bears her name reportedly doesn't see it that way at all. Sources say Earl Spencer, Diana's brother, has made it clear behind the scenes that he's wary of how his sister's memory is being used. One former confidant of the family claimed the Spencers see Diana's story as sacred, something that belongs to the family and the British people, not a personal brand. And if the whispers are true, Earl Spencer's quiet refusal to let Harry legally adopt the Spencer name was a shot across the bow. A polite but unmistakable no to what some see as an attempt to hijack Diana's legacy for personal gain. This rumored clash isn't just about a name on paper. Insiders say it's about the deep symbolism of who owns Diana's story. For the Spencers, Diana is family, and family means protecting her memory, one palace watcher said. For Meghan, some think it's about transforming that memory into a brand that keeps her name and bank account front and center. And it's not just Earl Spencer, apparently. Other members of Diana's family have reportedly expressed quiet unease at the constant comparisons, the luxury lifestyle, photo shoots with Diana's jewelry, and the endless rehashing of her tragic story in podcasts and interviews.
Meghan has zero qualities of Diana, except for maybe some more of those toxic elements. Other than that, the women could not be more different, which is why everything's gone so south for Harry.
One insider summed it up like this: they're not comfortable with how Diana's name has become a marketing tool. They see it as cheapening her memory. For Harry, the tension is said to cut especially deep. Those close to him claim he's caught in the middle, torn between his loyalty to Meghan and his own connection to the Spencer family. He wants to honor his mother, one friend reportedly said, but some of his choices are making it look like he's cashing in instead. And that's what makes this rift with the Spencers so explosive. It's not just about what Meghan and Harry want. It's about who gets to decide what Diana means to the world today. Because if the Spencers have their way, Diana's memory won't be reduced to hashtags and product placements. But if Meghan's rumored branding playbook is to be believed, the Spencers' protests might not be enough to stop her. Up next, we're looking at how the public is reacting to these growing allegations, because what started as a quiet family matter is quickly turning into a public reckoning for Meghan and Harry. Stay tuned, because the tide of public opinion is shifting in ways they might not have seen coming. As whispers about Meghan's alleged use of Diana's legacy swirl louder, the public's patience appears to be wearing thin. What was once dismissed as harmless tribute has started to look to some like a cynical marketing campaign, and it's sparking a backlash that even Meghan's most loyal fans can't ignore. At first, people thought she was just inspired by Diana, one longtime royal watcher said, but now it's starting to feel like she's turned that inspiration into a commodity. Scroll through social media and you'll see the divide. Some supporters insist Meghan's just keeping Diana's memory alive in a world that's quick to forget, but others see something more manipulative at play. The relentless name-dropping in interviews, the luxury brand photo shoots with Diana's jewelry front and center, the Netflix scenes that all but canonize Meghan as Diana's spiritual heir. It feels forced, one commentator said, like they're trying to sell us a myth instead of telling a story. And that's where the real danger lies for Meghan and Harry, because the more the public sees these moves as calculated, the more they risk turning their greatest asset, Diana's memory, into their greatest liability. People love Diana because she was authentic, one insider said. They don't feel the same way about Meghan. It's starting to feel hollow.
Harry introduces Meghan to Princess Diana's sisters and Earl Spencer, and is so eager for them to agree with him that Meghan is the second coming of Diana. And Princess Diana's sisters and brother absolutely dismiss this.
Critics say it's not just the constant Diana references, it's how they're paired with Meghan's luxury lifestyle. You can't talk about being a champion of the people while living in a $14 million mansion and flying around in private jets, one royal commentator said. It doesn't add up, and people notice. Some even argue that Meghan's pivot to fashion and wellness, complete with whispered stories of Diana's supposed influence, is the final straw, a transparent attempt to cash in on a story that was never hers to sell. And it's not just the fans who are starting to grumble. Even commentators who once defended Meghan are now asking hard questions about where the line between tribute and exploitation really lies. If this is all about Diana, what does it say about Meghan and Harry? One observer asked. Because Diana's story was about compassion and authenticity, two things that are hard to fake. As this backlash grows, one thing is clear. The myth of Meghan and Harry as the natural heirs to Diana's magic is under more scrutiny than ever before. Next, we're turning to the one group whose opinion might matter more than anyone's, the royals themselves. Because behind the palace gates, insiders say there's a growing fury that Meghan's alleged use of Diana's memory isn't just an insult, it's a threat to everything the crown stands for. Stay tuned, because this is where the stakes get even higher. Inside palace walls, the whispers have grown into a quiet storm. Insiders say the royals are not just unsettled, they're furious. Because for King Charles and Prince William, Diana's memory isn't a brand to be repackaged and sold. It's a part of the family's history, a legacy they've guarded fiercely for decades. And now the rumors that Meghan and Harry are allegedly twisting that memory for their own luxury dreams, that's a red line the monarchy isn't willing to see crossed. But one former palace aide reportedly put it bluntly, they see it as a betrayal. Diana's legacy is sacred to them, and using it as a marketing tool is an insult to her memory and to the family she left behind. For King Charles, who has spent years battling for the monarchy's modern relevance, these whispers hit especially hard. He's been careful to keep Diana's memory as a private family matter, one source said. The idea that it's now a selling point for Meghan's brand? That's not just crass, it's personal. And for Prince William, the alleged exploitation of their mother's name is even more painful. He's always been Diana's son first, one palace insider claimed, but he's also the future king. And he knows that turning her legacy into a brand not only cheapens her story, it cheapens the crown. According to those close to him, William sees these whispers as the ultimate betrayal, using Diana's name to fund a lifestyle that's increasingly out of touch with the values she stood for.
I'm going to milk our mother for all I can, whether it's Meghan with Archie standing in front of the large portrait of Diana in their home.
Even those who sympathize with Meghan and Harry admit this tension has become a serious fracture in the family. Diana's memory was supposed to unite them, one commentator said. Instead, it's turned into a battleground because the royals see her as part of their duty, not a shortcut to wealth and luxury. And that's the real heartbreak behind these rumors. Because while Meghan might see Diana as a role model or inspiration, the monarchy sees her as a symbol of everything they're supposed to protect. And the idea that her memory is allegedly being used for personal gain? That's a wound that cuts deeper than any tabloid headline. But the question remains, if these allegations are true, how far are Meghan and Harry willing to go to keep the luxury dream alive? Up next, we're diving into the rumors that they're willing to risk everything, their titles, their public standing, even their relationship with the crown itself, to keep the story of Diana 2.0 front and center. Stay tuned, because the final chapter of this drama might be the most shocking yet. If the rumors are true, Meghan and Harry might be approaching a crossroads more dramatic than any they've faced before. Because insiders say the couple's alleged strategy of using Diana's memory as their luxury brand calling card isn't just a risky PR move, it's a last-ditch play to keep up appearances as the money and headlines start to slip away. It's a desperate bid for relevance, one former palace aide claimed, and it's pushing them to take bigger and bigger risks. According to these whispers, every new project, every Netflix cameo, every carefully staged podcast has become a roll of the dice. The stakes? Not just financial security, but the narrative that Meghan and Harry have built their entire brand on, that they're the spiritual heirs to Diana's compassion and star power, not the fading ex-royals they're rumored to be without her halo. They're fighting to keep that image alive, one insider said, because if it fades, what's left? And that's why some observers believe the couple might be willing to go further than ever before, testing the limits of what even the most devoted fans will accept. If they're really living on a shrinking bank balance, one commentator noted, the Diana brand becomes their last ace in the hole. From lavish new product launches dripping with sentimental references to rumors of more confessional documentaries, the couple's every move seems to some like a scramble to keep the luxury dream alive.
In the Netflix series, or Harry constantly comparing Meghan's issues with safety in the press and the paparazzi and media interviews.
No matter the cost. But this strategy isn't just about image, it's about survival. Because if the couple can no longer count on Netflix millions or the Windsor inheritance, insiders say they're left with only one commodity that still sells: Diana's ghost. It's the one thing they know the public will always care about, one source claimed. And if they can keep that narrative alive, they keep themselves in the spotlight and the money flowing. Critics say this alleged desperation is the final tragic chapter in Meghan and Harry's saga. They've turned Diana's story into their own marketing plan, one former royal watcher said. And the question is, how far will they go before they finally admit it's over? Because as these rumors swirl, one thing is clear. This isn't just about Meghan's next project or Harry's next Netflix cameo. It's about the soul of a story that once felt noble, and now, to some, feels like it's on the auction block. And so we arrive at the final chapter of this swirling saga, one that might just reveal more about Meghan and Harry than any of the palace dramas that have come before. Because if you believe the whispers, the stakes aren't just about luxury lifestyles and Netflix deals anymore, they're about legacy, and what happens when you try to turn a beloved memory, like Diana's, into a personal brand. For Meghan and Harry, insiders say the gamble is as bold as it is risky. On one hand, the ghost of Diana still holds a power that few stories can match. She was the princess of the people, the icon who challenged the crown's cold formality and made compassion her trademark. On the other hand, every new rumor that Meghan and Harry are using that memory as a marketing tool chips away at the image they've spent years crafting, an image of authenticity, independence, and heart. And that's the heartbreak at the center of this story. That Diana's memory, so often invoked as a shield or a rallying cry, has become the fuel for a brand that's all about Meghan and Harry's next move. It's like they're locked in a race against time, one palace source said. If the Diana brand fades, so does their relevance, and they're willing to risk everything to keep it alive. Of course, these are just whispers, claims swirling in the air and echoing through palace halls. But even rumors can reveal a deeper truth about the stories we tell, and the prices we're willing to pay to keep them going. Because if Meghan and Harry really are building their luxury lifestyle on the ghost of Diana, it raises the most dramatic question of all. How far will they go before the world stops listening? We want to hear what you think. Are Meghan and Harry honoring Diana's memory, or are they turning it into a cash cow? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We're dying to know where you stand on this latest royal drama. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned, because the next video on your screen is waiting. And trust me, you won't believe what's coming next.